All right, of course it's very important to wash your jars. I washed the new jars I bought at the store and the lids. Some of the books that I looked at said that you should also sterilize them in boiling water. But not everybody said that. And I guess you'll have to use your own judgment, look into it yourself. One thing I am doing here in this little pot back here, I've got my lids in boiling water, and this heats the rubber, the sticky, I don't think it's rubber, but it's a sticky material on the bottom of that's going to make the seal, and it brings it up to temperature. So having your jars hot from rinsing them with hot water, and then of course you're ladling hot salsa into them and placing a hot lid that's been sterilized in boiling water, that's all bringing that material up to temperature so that when you put it in the hot water bath, it doesn't crack the glass. And this tool allows me to pick the lid up. It's got a magnet on the end of it, so I don't have to touch it, don't get any bacteria on it. This pot is a pressure cooker, and this is the lid. You got your pressure gauge, your air vent, your overpressure plug right here, your pressure regulator right here, and it comes with a manual. It says here that we're not going to be cooking this under pressure. We're going to use the boiling water method in the pressure cooker. So we can take off the pressure regulator, we don't need that, and we can remove the overpressure plug, we don't need that. Because all we're really doing is getting those hot filled jars with sterilized lids into the water at about 180 degrees, covering them with hot water, bringing that all up to a boil for the 15 minutes. All right, now before we bring this water up to temperature for the canning process, it's important to put the canning cooking rack in the bottom of the container. And that creates a space between the bottom of the jars and the bottom of the pressure cooker so that they're not in direct contact with that hot metal. So I've got my handy dandy funnel that comes with the ball utensil set. It allows me to ladle my material, my salsa, gracefully into the jar, and you want to leave yourself a little room there at the top, about, well, could put in a little more, I guess, a little bit more, there we are, and that's pretty hot to the touch, so, alright, now here I'm going to take the lid off this container where I heated up and sterilized these lids. I got a hold of one of them here. I'm just going to gently put it in place. So, like that, avoiding touching it. And I can, and you just want this finger tight. Don't torque down on it. And it's loaded up now. We're bringing that water to a boil. So now you can see that the water is boiling, and we're going to put the lid on the pressure cooker. But we're not using it as a pressure cooker, as I've said before. And then you spin that together, and we'll set our timer for 15 minutes. And right here you can see the pressure regulator is removed, so steam will be coming up out of there, and this little emergency plug has been removed. So we're not generating pressure inside the container.
This salsa was made at approximately 700 feet above sea level, and that's why we processed it for 15 minutes. If you're 1,000 to 6,000 feet above sea level, say in Denver, Colorado, you would want to process it for 20 minutes. And above 6,000 feet, 25 minutes.
So the lid of the pressure cooker comes off,
with a little turn like that, and it's hot, and we lift that off, exposing our boiling water. So we'll go ahead and shut the fire off. So these are now, they've been in there for 15 minutes in the boiling water, and we can set them over here. And I can grab that hot can, pick it up, and set it over here to dry on this towel. So we'll quickly get all these cans out so we can get our next batch in and rolling. So the water is no longer boiling, and I don't want it to be boiling when I put these cans in, the next set of cans in, because they're still warm, but they're not 212 degrees warm. So it's good that we're losing some of our heat here. And if I was really smart, I would have a thermometer and I would check how hot that water is to make sure it was 180 degrees or so. All right, so another important piece of this puzzle is to put the date 9/1/10. And I can write that right on there because the next time I use this jar, I will buy new lids. Not the part that goes around the rim, but this part with the sealing edge has to be replaced the next time it's used. The day after canning, we want to test each jar for a good seal. The jars are sealed if 1, the lid has popped down in the center, 2, the lid does not move when you press it down, or 3, when you tap the center of the lid with a spoon, it should give a clear ringing sound, although this is the least reliable test. Now, if a jar is not sealed, refrigerate the contents immediately and use it soon, or you can recan the salsa within 24 hours. When recanning, the salsa must again be heated to a boil before repacking it in clean jars, and be sure to use a new lid. After the jars have cooled, wipe them down, label the lid with the date and the contents of the jar, and then remove the screw bands to avoid rust. Store the jars in a cool, dark place. For best eating quality and nutritive value, be sure and use them within a year. Heat, freezing temperatures, light, or dampness will decrease the quality and shelf life of the canned food. Now, before using any of the jars, be sure to look for a bulging lid, a leak, or any unusual appearance of the food. If there's an unusual odor, mold, or foam, or any sign of spoilage whatsoever, destroy the food. So I hope you've enjoyed this little excursion into the process of making and canning salsa. It's easy to do. It's time consuming, no doubt about that, but there's a lot of satisfaction in knowing that you've tended your garden and harvested your crops and taken care to make good use of what Mother Earth has provided. And I hope to see you again on one of these programs and give you another piece of the puzzle. Thanks for watching.